Morning, parents. This week we're going to talk about Jesus as a boy in the temple at the age of 12. Our passage is found in Luke chapter 2, verses 41 through 52. I'm going to start by reading there. And it says, "Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to custom. And when the feast was ended, as they were returning, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents did not know it, but supposing him to be in the group, they went a day's journey, but then they began to search for him among their relatives and acquaintances. And when they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem, searching for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. And when his parents saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, 'Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress.' And he said to them, 'Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?' And they did not understand the saying that he spoke to them. And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was submissive to them. And his mother treasured up all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man." This week, I really want to focus on identity and purpose. For in this passage, we see that Jesus understands his identity and he understands his purpose. And then for us as parents, this is really what I want to encourage us to instill and to teach to our children, what their identity is and what their purpose is. And it's no shocker, it should be no surprise that our identity and our purpose really lines up with Jesus's and is supposed to be the same as followers and disciples of Christ. Now, this passage is really important because it's really the only, this is the only story that's recorded in the Gospels that teaches about Jesus as a boy. We have passages, of course, about, before Jesus was born, the angels coming to Mary and Joseph and talking about a son that would be born to them. We have some passages about Jesus right after he was born, the wise men coming to visit him, Jesus being taken to the temple in order to be purified or dedicated and consecrated to the Lord as an infant. And then we have Jesus, of course, as an adult, countless stories, right, in the Gospels about Jesus as an adult, but nothing about him as a boy, except here, right, about Jesus being a 12-year-old and going to the temple, listening, understanding, asking questions from the teachers in the law. So this is a really significant passage. And why is it so significant? Why is this the only recorded story of Jesus as a boy in the scriptures? Well, I believe it's because it's really here where it's revealing and showing that Jesus understands who he is, what his identity is, and what he is supposed to do. So first, who he is, his identity. He understands here, right, he's talking about, did you not know that I'm supposed to be in my Father's house? He understands that his Father is God in heaven. And he understands that he is the Son of God. So here as a 12-year-old, he understands who he is, what his identity is. The Son of God, and God in heaven is his actual Father in heaven. And so he understands who he is, but he also understands what his purpose is, what he's supposed to do. Right? He says, "Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" And so what is he supposed to do? What is his life's purpose? It is to do his Father's will, right? All of his Father's will. Jesus tells the woman of Samaria at the well, he says, my food, well, he tells his disciples this, he says, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me." Right? My life's purpose, over and over again in the Gospel of John, he talks about what he's supposed to do is his Father's will. So he understands who he is, the Son of God, and he understands what he's supposed to do, his Father's will. And this is the very same things that we want to communicate and teach to our children. It's vitally important. I would say really it's the most important things that we teach to our children, these two concepts right here. So Jesus has come, the Son of God, to make more sons of God, or to make more children of God. He dies on the cross, rises again from the dead 3 days later, so that human beings might also become sons of God or children of God. And that we might also carry out the same purpose that was his, which is to do our Father's will. And so we seek then to pass this on to our children. Our children, they're born in Christian homes, and so we seek to teach them and to train them. Like, you are born in a Christian family, in a Christian home. And as for us, as for our house, we are going to serve the Lord. You are covenant children, so you need to understand who you are, right? Covenant children, children of God, that God in heaven is your Father, right? So we want to instill this identity into our children, that they are children of God. And then we want to teach them, okay, now that you know who you are, you need to know what you're supposed to do. What is your purpose in life? And that is to obey your Father in heaven, or to do all of your Father's will. That's what you're supposed to do. And when these two truths, right, are understood, what happens is it actually drives them to the Word of God. Because if they understand who they are, well, then they want to know who their Father is. What is God like? And then if they understand their identity, they want to know who their Father is and what He is like, His character. And then they are going to want to know what their Father's will is. What does He want them to do? And so these two truths, right, push them and drive them towards the Word of God so that they can know who God is and what the Father's will is. Like, what am I supposed to do in life? And of course, the Scriptures reveal both of these things to us. And when we think about, right, these two concepts, these two truths, identity and purpose, who we are, what we're supposed to do, really, this is a summation of all of life, right? What is life all about? Well, it's about knowing who we are and knowing what we're supposed to do, right? There's no two greater truths, right, than these things for our children to understand. And so we want to pass this on to our children. We want to encourage them to understand this and cultivate this in their life. And the encouraging thing for us as well is what we see in this passage, right? Jesus is just a child. He's just a boy. But even as a child, he understands these two things. He understands who he is, and he understands what he's supposed to do. So our children, right, even though they're young, even though they're just children, they too can also understand who they are, children of God. And they can understand what they're supposed to do. What is their purpose and meaning in life? To do their Father's will, right? And one last thing to think about as we talk about this. Sometimes, right, those two truths can be a little, they're kind of competing with our own natural fleshly desires, right? Who we are, children of God, what we're supposed to do, all of our Father's will. Well, sometimes, right, our children, they want something else rather than the Father's will. But it's teaching them and always redirecting them back to, no, here's your identity, here's who you are, here's what you're supposed to do, and praying and asking God to line up their will with His will so that they can accomplish it. Well, I hope this helps you this week, and I look forward to continuing to build faith in families. God bless.